Howdy folks, and welcome to a slightly unusual start to a traditional episode of Mingles with Jingles, because this week I wanted to start off by doing a slight experiment. In preparation for my visit to the Netherlands this week, more on that later, I've ordered a little piece of kit for the camera in order to adequately be able to record my voice when it's windy, or I'm perhaps standing in front of something a fair old distance away from the camera and maybe the shotgun mic isn't really going to get the job done. So, bearing that in mind, I have ordered this. That is the Rode Wireless Go Compact System. It's a wireless microphone for the video camera. I'm going to be conducting an experiment. Let's just take you through the details first. It consists of two pieces. That is the receiver. Let's just turn it on. There we go. At the moment it's searching for a wireless signal, so we're going to turn on the transmitter, and there it is. And now you can see that the two devices are paired, and you can see in the display there it's also giving you the volume meters, and the reason it's giving you the volume meters is because the transmitter here also functions as its own wireless microphone. It's got its own microphone there. Now the quality of the microphone is alright, but it's definitely recommended to use one of these instead. This is also from Rode. I'm not being sponsored by these guys, by the way. I wish I was. But this is a lavalier mic. It's one of those things that you see newscasters wearing when they're outside doing an outside broadcast. They have one of these things tied to their lapel. So the idea is I'm going to plug that into the transmitter here. The transmitter is going to send the signal to the receiver. You don't have to use the lavalier mic. The clip on the back actually allows you to clip this thing to your lapel and speak into the microphone there, but better sound quality if you actually use a proper microphone. The cool thing about these clips, there's one also mounted on the receiver, is that that clip is exactly the correct size to fit into the shoe on top of a DSLR camera, where you would normally stick a flash, a light, or a shotgun microphone. And you connect that to the wireless, to the microphone input jack on your camera, and it sends the signal from that through this to that straight onto your video recording. So I'm going to set this up and we're going to conduct a little test. Okay, you're now getting the audio direct from the Rode Compact Wireless Go transmitter, which is just clipped onto the top of my t-shirt, down here under my beard. And in order to test that it works as it should, I'm going to go and take a shit. But I'm going to leave the camera here. We're going to let Akazuki keep you entertained while I leave the room. I may even close the door behind me. Head down the corridor. Second on the left, the bathroom. Oh, by the sound of things, there's an ice cream van in the street outside. What?
You seriously gonna do that?
Totally.
You!
Shutting the door. Don't want to be interrupted. Mounting the throne now. And, yeah. Nothing seems to want to happen. Didn't really plan this one through properly, did I? Oh well, since we're here in the bathroom anyway, just to prove that we are actually in a different room. Wash my hands. Dry my hands. And back to Akazuki. Hey little kitty, have you been keeping the good people entertained? Hey little puss. Want a sniffy sniff? Oh, you want a scratchy scratch? Okay, we'll give you a scratchy scratch. So, anyway, I have no idea what this is actually going to sound like, which is the whole purpose of conducting this experiment, as assisted by Akazuki, the science cat. So, hopefully this is going to come in really useful for not only when I'm in the Netherlands next week, but also in future museum visits. And now back to the regular video. Okay, now that I've actually heard it for myself, yeah. The built-in microphone does work, but because, I mean, it's a very, very small and light unit, but it's about 10 times the weight of an actual lavalier microphone. So clipping it to something flimsy, like the collar of a t-shirt, for example, it works until things move. And the weight of the unit itself, even though it doesn't weigh much, can kind of drag the transmitter from the vertical position, where the microphone is pointing straight up to your chin, to a mostly horizontal position where the microphone is pointing into your chest, and then you get all kinds of, well, sounds that you don't really want. So if you're wearing slightly more substantial clothing, that built-in microphone on the transmitter will work just fine. But you definitely want lavalier mic for it, so you can just attach the transmitter to your belt and you can forget about it, and then get a proper mic with a proper clip to attach to your collar or your lapel or whatever. And that's basically what I've got. Unfortunately, I got the wrong type of microphone. It turns out that the Rode SmartLav is a great microphone, but it's for smartphones. And smartphones use TRRS output, and cameras use TRS output. No, I don't know what those are either, but it's fine. There's an adapter you can get for it. So we should all be ready to go for Tuesday when I head to the Netherlands this week. Why are you going to the Netherlands, Jingles? I mean, you know, not that there's anything wrong with going to the Netherlands, but what's the reason for it? Well, it's a kind of a long story. This whole idea had its genesis in last year's Tankfest. I mean, Tankfest was great last year. I'm sure Tankfest is going to be great this year, but it's an incredibly tiring event for me. And I decided, well, at the suggestion of my good friend Roy, we decided that this year, instead of going to Tankfest, we were going to do a road trip. Get away from the crowds and just do our own thing. And we decided that we were going to go to the Netherlands to trace the route of 30 Corps, commanded by General Horrocks, down Hell's Highway in the Netherlands during Operation Market Garden, in the attempt to cross over the various different bridges with the Armoured Corps and link up with the 2nd Parachute Battalion at Arnhem. An operation that was destined to fail, but we thought it'd be really cool to do the journey for ourselves and stop at the various different places where things happened 75 years ago, get out, point a camera at them, and talk about them. And that's the primary reason why I wanted some kind of proper microphone setup, particularly suited for outside broadcasts that wasn't just pointing a video camera, or even a video camera with a shotgun mic. Something that was going to work properly and sound good under all circumstances. And Roy and I were supposed to be doing this over the weekend of Tankfest at the end of the month. But then things started going, well, not wrong, but complicated. The World of Warships Community Contributors Summit for 2019 was announced, and I was invited. And while I'm there in St. Petersburg, I'm going to be doing some additional voice line recording for Captain Jingles in World of Warships. More on that later as well. But unfortunately, the dates kind of overlapped. So I was either going to have to go to St. Petersburg, and they've added an extra day to the summit this year so they can get some more activities and events in. I think they're taking us to the Kronstadt Naval Base for an entire day. That's going to be amazing. So my choice was either head out to the Community Contributor Summit in St. Petersburg and then come back and immediately join Roy and drive to the Netherlands, or we shift the dates around. So we decided that, you know, but also don't forget that while I'm away in St. Petersburg, in the same way as while I'm away this week in the Netherlands, before going, I have to pre-upload a whole bunch of videos. So in the week or two before, I'm working like a man possessed in order to make sure that you've got videos to keep you entertained while I'm away. And it's 5 days. There's the day to fly out there, it's a 3-day summit, and then a day to fly back for the World of Warships thing. And if I was then going to have to fly back and straight away meet Roy in order to head out to the Netherlands for 3 or 4 days, I mean, that's well over a week. And the amount of work that I would have to do beforehand would just be ridiculous. So we decided, screw that. Let's not rush things. And we shifted the date of the road trip to this week. Tuesday, we're heading out. And we're going to spend a good couple of days in the Netherlands. Plus, switching the dates around like this means that I can go to the Netherlands and do the Hell's Highway road trip. And then I can go to St. Petersburg for the World of Warships Community Contributor Summit, and I can come back, and Rita can go to Tank Fest, and we don't have to arrange somebody to look after all the cats, because we're both away at the same time. So it's all actually worked out quite well. Now, regarding the actual nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of the Netherlands visit. But first of all, big thank you to all of the people from the Netherlands who have suggested things to go and see and take a look at while we're there. Thank you very much. It's all been noted. But also all of the people who have asked whether or not I'm going to be doing any kind of meet and greet while I'm there. The issue is one of organisation, because I don't actually have a written and planned schedule of how we're going to do this. I don't know exactly when I'm going to be in Nijmegen. I don't know exactly when I'm going to be in Arnhem. All we're really doing is driving along Hell's Highway, and any time we arrive at some place where something significant happened 75 years ago, we're getting out of the car, pointing the camera at it, and talking about it. So it's difficult for me to arrange things in advance like a meet and greet. However, I understand that it would be a real shame if I was going to travel all the way there and not give people the opportunity to say hello. So, what we're going to do is this. Anytime we're due to arrive in some place that's reasonably easy for people to get to, I'll send a tweet saying, for example, we're due to arrive in Nijmegen in about an hour. Anybody who wants to say hello, pop down to the train station, and you should be able to meet us there. If at all possible, we'll try to ensure that we arrive in, vaguely civilized places like the various different towns and cities along the route at around about lunchtime. Or if that doesn't end up being practical because we're running late because I kept fluffing my lines or whatever, after work, in the early evening. So even if people have to work for a living, they can still pop out maybe during their lunch break, or failing that, after work. Trying to keep as many people happy as possible, or at least give you all the opportunity to come and say hello if that's something that you want to do. One other thing that I want to do while I'm there is pay some respects at the various different military cemeteries. In particular, this message on the Salt Mines Discord server from Silverwings. Mr. Jingles, this is a humble and small request, and one from the grandson of a liberator of the Netherlands. 3 years ago I lost my grandfather, Corporal Kelly, in India Company of the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 101st Airborne Division. He made his return, and he found the gratitude of the Dutch to be overwhelming to a humble soldier like him. But I made him a promise that I would leave a token, whether it be a flower, or pour a beer over the lawn of the American cemetery in honour of his fallen brothers whom he feasts with now in Valhalla. I find myself now, due to finances, unable to do so, and so I'd like to ask, could you please do it in my stead? Silverwings, I'd be honoured to do it for you, not just in the memory of your grandfather, but in the memory of all of the soldiers who died in the liberation of the Netherlands during World War II, of whatever nationality. Moving on to another subject, although technically it's a subject we've already covered, since I am going to be back in St. Petersburg for the World of Warships Community Contributor Summit, they have decided that it would be a good idea to get me to redo some of the voice lines that had previously been recorded for Captain Jingles in World of Warships. I was able to have a go of Captain Jingles. That sounds really weird. I was able to play with myself on the World of Warships public test server and get the opportunity to see what I actually sounded like as a World of Warships captain. Over the weekend I pushed out a video with a sort of compilation of some of the various different voice lines. And while a lot of people absolutely loved it, a lot of other people had some very good concerns and raised some good points. In particular, that in a lot of the cases it just sounded like I was reading the regular voice lines, because in a lot of the cases that's exactly what I was doing. There were some lines that I had rewritten. In particular, when you call for anti-aircraft fire support, I shout out, "We need more DACA," things like that. When you get a devastating strike, I shout, "That's a paddling." But people wanted more of that and less of just the regular captain voice lines that just happened to have been read by me. Additionally, some of those lines just didn't sound right at all. In particular, when your ship set on fire and I shouted, "Fire, fire, fire." It sounded like I was given the order for the guns to be fired, even though what I was actually saying is what happens on board a Royal Navy warship when a fire is detected. Somebody shouts, "Fire, fire, fire." And they keep shouting, "Fire, fire, fire," until they hear somebody shouting, "Fire, fire, fire," over the main broadcast. And while it's authentic, it can be confusing, and the delivery was kind of flat. Now, some of this is my fault, and some of it was Wargaming's fault. Before I went over there to record the lines in the first place, they sent me the script. You wouldn't believe how many different lines of text there are spoken in the game. There were over 150 different voice lines that I had to record. But prior to going out there and doing it, they sent me the script, and they did give me the opportunity to rewrite some of those lines. And some of them made it in. "We need more DACA," that's a paddling. Some of them were never going to make it in. So there's no surprise butt sex. Sorry. Given the age rating of World of Warships, there was absolutely no way that line was ever going to make it in. Sorry, that's just the way it is. The other thing that you have to bear in mind is that there are often a whole bunch of different lines that can be chosen at random for any one circumstance in World of Warships. So, for example, at the start of the battle, I had to record multiple different lines for what happens when the battle timer reaches 0 and the actual game starts. Maybe I'd say action stations, maybe I'd say hands to action stations, or maybe, if you were lucky, you'd hear me say, "Morning men, starboard 10, round the buoy and back again." Because the game randomly picks one of the various different lines that is due to be queued when the battle starts, you might never hear me say anything original and interesting. It could just be that due to the luck of the draw, 4 battles in a row, the game starts and all you hear is me saying action stations. And it was like that for a whole bunch of the different game events. Like, for example, when you're the last ship left alive on your team, what you're used to hearing is the default captain saying, "You are our last hope." Now, I recorded that, but I also recorded lines like, "You're the last one on the team, try not to screw it up," things like that. But again, because there are a number of different pre-recorded lines to choose from anytime an in-game event is triggered, you're not always guaranteed to hear anything other than me just parroting what the default captain would normally say. So this was an issue, and I could have done more by rewriting more of the lines, and Wargaming could have done more by accepting more of the changes that I made. But they've taken your criticism on board, and I am going to have the opportunity while I'm at the Community Contributors Summit to pop out for an hour or so and re-record a lot of those voice lines. One of the other things that I tried to slip in there because I thought it would be hilarious was, for example, whenever you spot a ship, the default captain says, "Enemy destroyer spotted." When it's a destroyer, when it's a cruiser, "Enemy cruiser spotted," and so on and so on and so on. Now, I recorded all of those lines, but I put them all in the wrong order to simulate my notorious misidentification of ships. So, for example, whenever a destroyer was spotted, Captain Jingles would say, "Enemy cruiser spotted." Or, when you sank a cruiser, Captain Jingles would say, "We've sunk an enemy battleship," things like that. The funny thing was, when I got there the first time around to do the original voice line recording, they said, "You seem to have gotten the lines mixed up in the wrong order. Don't worry, we put them all in the right place for you." So, no, you don't understand. This is what people expect of me. And they kind of said, "Oh, are you sure?" I said, yeah, don't worry, it'll be fine. And they let me go ahead and record them in the order that I wanted, but they didn't seem to be particularly sure about it. And you can understand that they don't want to confuse the players any more than they already are. But, well, it's the kind of thing that people expect of me. And it seems that, at least in this first version, it didn't make it in. Now, whenever Jingle sees a destroyer, he says, "Destroyer spotted." When he sinks a carrier, he says, "We've sunk an enemy aircraft carrier," and so on and so on, all correct and boring. But I am pretty sure, because this is the kind of thing that people want. Let's face it, if you want to have me as the captain of one of your ships, this is exactly the sort of thing that you want to hear. So hopefully, I mean, I'm going to put some pressure on them to allow it. And, you know, you guys could do your thing too. Let them know what you expect. I mean, I am old and crap, and I expect to be as old and crap in the game. Otherwise, it's just not Jingles, is it? So, let them know. You know what to do. Go on the forums, go on Twitter. Leave your support down below in the comments on this video. And together, we can make Jingles crap again. That sounds like a campaign slogan. I'm surprised nobody's thought of it. In fact, that's it. That is our campaign slogan. Hashtag make Jingles crap again. Get out there and spread the word. Together we can do it. We will not rest until we have made Jingles as crap in World of Warships as he is in real life. Anyway, I think that just about covers all of the bases for this week's episode, except Iowa Dragon wanted to know that there's new content available for Subnautica Below Zero. Will I be putting something on YouTube? Yes, although probably not this week, because, you know, I'm not going to be here, but yeah, definitely. Bram T said, Jingles, is it possible to let us know what the ribbons are on your avatar in World of Warships? I don't know exactly. I think there's the Order of the Bath, there's a Victoria Cross. They're not medals or ribbons that I actually earned. Funnily enough, I did actually submit a photograph of my medal ribbon collection to Wargaming, so there is a chance at least that my actual medal ribbons will appear on my avatar in World of Warships. That's something else I'm going to have to chase up with them, but thank you for reminding me. Finally, the Salt Express wanted to know, as I'm sure many of you do, what kind of hoops you're going to have to jump through in order to actually get me as a captain when I am eventually released and become available in World of Warships. And the answer to that one is I have absolutely no idea. The one thing that I have been assured by Wargaming is that they won't be selling me. You won't have to part with any actual cash in order to get your very own Captain Jingles. It will almost certainly be some kind of in-game mission available to everybody. But I'm definitely not going to cost you anything, you know, other than your self-respect. So, yeah. Anyway, that is it for this week's episode of Mingles with Jingles. Now I have to, well, prep for my visit to the Netherlands and hope that the Lavalier microphone adapter arrives in time. Don't worry, I have Amazon Prime. It'll be here by Monday, and we're going on Tuesday, so it's all going to be good. Let's just hope it's the correct adapter. Otherwise, I'm in serious trouble. The chances are fairly good that I'll find some way of screwing this up. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.